Hello everyone, once again it is I, the Professor. I have been asked a couple of times throughout my career, if you wish to call it that, or my time as being a commentator, what I think makes a good commentator. I've been asked this yet again. For the most part, I've put off even answering this question. I've put off even thinking about this question, but after all the times I've been asked, I'm going to go ahead, finally sit down and just put out what I think makes a good commentator. Now, please remember, what I'm saying here, these are not guidelines for being a commentator. These are not the guidelines for the commentary community. These are not how you must do commentaries. This is just what I feel makes a good commentator. This is just my perspective. Now, when I start off, I want to say a good place to get some ideas on what makes bad commentators is to go look at the videos made by Gem81 Jim back when he did the trolling video on the commentary community. Yes, while that was a trolling video, he still raised some valid points. He still raised some things that could be looked at and say, yeah, I might not want to do this if I want to be a commentator. Another one that was made very recently was done by I Must Destroy All. No, I'm not subscribed to the guy. I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but I did see this video in particular where he made a video about the commentary community. Yes, he raised a lot of valid points as well. Some of them were generic, and some of them were stereotypical generic complaints about the commentary community. But he did raise some good options and some good ideas. Now, another idea for how to determine what I personally think is a bad commentator is to go look at some of the people I don't think are good commentators, such as Steven the Master. I don't like Steven the Master's stuff. Such as Junior Fan, I don't enjoy his stuff. Death Critic, I'm not a fan of Death Critic. These guys, and people much akin to them, I do not feel they're good commentators. Why? Because either they don't make very many good points, they drag things too much, or they just come out completely stupid every time they make a video. These are the kind of things, these are the kind of people that I think you could go watch to see what are bad commentators. I could also say, if you can find them, go back and find old videos by people like Too Funny Version 4, by Foxtrot Delta Lima, by Serious Hedgehog Co., Flippy Invader 782. These people, these are some older commentators who don't do commentaries anymore, but go back and look at them. They were bad commentators. They did a horrible job doing commentaries. Now, for me to just put out what I think, through words, my thoughts on what makes a good commentator. One of the first things is someone who does not overuse media clips. Do not overuse the fucking media clips. The point of a commentary is to put across your perspective or viewpoint on what you're talking about, on what video you're watching and you're commentating on. When you're using media clips, you're not putting across your viewpoint. You're not putting across your words. You're using the words of other people. Now, yes, call me a hypocrite if you wish. I have used media clips in the past, but I have used media clips that were not overused, and I have used media clips for a joke, much like I used Patton Oswalt going whackity schmackity doo. I've used media clips from ZM Anonymous doing his Elaborate from Foxtrot Delta Lima as a joke. I've used the I Don't Give a Fuck from him as well. I've used different ones just to make jokes in the midst of me making a point. That's something important to remember. If you wish to use a media clip, make it work. Make it make sense, if nothing else. It needs to make sense contextually with what you are saying in your point. Another item that you need to have, in my opinion, for a good commentator is the ability to think logically. You need to be able to think logically. You need to have a good sense of intelligence about you. Be at least moderately educated. That way you don't come in sounding like an idiot. And you know how to do research. If you go into a subject matter that you don't understand, that you don't know, you know how to go out and do the research for the subject material that you wish to do a commentary on. Hence, you'll be able to do a decent commentary because you did your research. If you don't know what you're talking about in a commentary, it's going to come through. It's going to come through in what you say. You're going to sound like an idiot. You're going to sound uninformed. You're going to sound uneducated. And this is not what you want in a commentary. At least this is not what I look for in a commentary. Now, another item is the humor. Now, I will never admit that I'm the most humorous person in the world because, by God, I'm not the most humorous person in the world. And I will also admit that on many occasions I have tried too hard to make humor. I have done that multiple times. You can go look through most of my videos, any of my videos, and you can usually find a time where I tried too hard to be funny. Because I honestly feel, to an extent, commentaries should have humor in them. On occasion, there are sometimes a subject material that you cover that might not need a bunch of comedy to it. Much like the time that I did a commentary on Caden Calgar. I did not throw any comedy into it. I wanted that to be a serious video. Me seriously looking at their points. Look at the subject that you're talking about. If you're talking about something like homosexuality, or you're talking about something that's actually important, something that's actually serious, maybe don't make so many jokes. Maybe actually just go in with the mindset of logically and consistently throwing down their points and destroying their points and proving where they are wrong or they're incorrect or where they're going out of context or what they're doing wrong. Don't go in with the mindset of making as many jokes. Quite possibly one of the most important aspects that a commentator must remember when they're making a commentary, when they're planning a commentary, is to make a script. Most definitely make a fucking script. Don't do a commentary unscripted. Yes, I know that I do my rants and videos like this one unscripted. There's a lot of things that I do unscripted, but I don't do my commentaries unscripted because when I'm watching a video, I need time to think on occasion on what I want to say and return to the person. When you're doing unscripted, you're going by, boom, gut instinct. You're going by immediate thoughts, and that's not always the best idea. A lot of times, this has made people come out to look like ever-loving fucking idiots. So definitely learn how to write a script before you want to become a commentator. Now, a script doesn't take much. All you got to do is watch through the video, and as you're watching it, write down the timestamp of where you want to say something. Just write down the timestamp, 1 minute 23 seconds, and write down your notes. Write down your idea there, and then flesh it out a little bit. Then go back to the video and go until you find your next note. Now, when I say this, one of the things you need to do before you write your script is to watch the video in its entirety. You need to watch the whole thing. Don't ever go into a script without watching the video first. Never do a first-time view commentary. Do a second or third time view. Watch the video 2 or 3 times before you do your video. And then after you finish rendering your video, after you finish putting it all together and you get done, watch your video again. Yes, I know you're going to be watching your video while you're putting it together, while you're editing, but watch it again. Make sure you didn't miss any edits. Make sure you didn't screw up an edit. Make sure you didn't put something in the wrong spot. Rewatch that video once, if not twice, before uploading to YouTube. Definitely do these items before you upload to YouTube, or else your commentaries 90% of the time are not going to come out very good. Another item that you need to know how to do, and this should seem obvious and apparent, is the ability to edit. You need to be able to edit. Editing is important. Now, when you go back and you look, if you go back and look at someone like Sirius Hedgehog Co., Foxtrot Delta Lima, one of those two, they had the ability of doing live commentary where they were just recording their computer screen, pausing the video, saying something, playing the video. Watch these, and you will see they're a huge jumbled mess. They are confusing. There's no logical flow within what they're saying. It doesn't work together. It doesn't fit. And you will see why I say you need to know how to edit. That way, you have the ability to record your audio that you're going to use for your commentary, or even your video that you're going to use for your commentary. I'm not against someone just doing video of themselves. I'm not saying you have to have an avatar. I'm saying you could actually make a video of yourself and make that your commentary and splice that into their video. What Poe8100 does. Now, no, he's not a good commentator in my opinion. He's really not. What he does, his style is fine. It's perfectly fine. Do that. You don't have to have an avatar. It's not necessary. It's just up to your style. But you need to know how to edit, and know how to edit correctly. Know how to cut yourself off at the right times without cutting yourself off in the middle of a sentence. Know how to redo takes. Do multiple takes and edit out your mess ups. Edit out as many ums as you can, as many long pauses as you can, unless that long pause has a use for something like dramatic effect or you're adding to your video with the pause. Learn how to edit this stuff out and throw yourself in there correctly within the video. Know how to edit the other person's video correctly so as what they're saying makes sense in context, that it can be understood. There have been times, I'll go back to Jim 99 show, where I did a previous commentary on him. I mentioned how he cut off Poe8100 at a point and cut out certain segments of his video that made the rest of the video not make any sense. It was all confusing. Don't do that. If you're going to cut out segments of a video, cut out only small segments that don't have any purpose there, and make sure everything, when it's done, flows together properly and it still makes sense when you're watching it. Another item you need to know how to do is audio ducting. Audio ducting is the art, and I really use the word art very loosely on this, of taking your audio and putting it over their video. This requires you to turn the video that you're commentating on down to a certain level so you can be heard. That's something you need to learn how to do. Not only does it shorten a commentary, but it also looks better on occasion. It really does. You can get your points out. If you're giving off a 2-second little blurb in a video, audio duck that shit. There's no reason to cut away from the original person's video to give a 2-second statement like a no you. There's no reason for that. You can audio duck those segments very easily. It's not hard to do. Now, as for one of the last few points I need to talk about is avatars. Avatars really are not that important. It's not that big of a deal what you choose as an avatar. Now, there are a few people who will criticize avatars depending on certain items, such as your voice, matching the avatar you're using. Your voice kind of conveys the avatar. An avatar needs to fit your personality. An avatar needs to make sense. Now, if you look at my channel, I use so many fucking different avatars. I've got OCD, I've got multiple avatar disorder, whatever you want to call it. But to an extent, I chose these avatars, all except for Dexter, because I see a certain area of personality within them that kind of conveys something of myself. Say Dr. Stein is a more educated, more forceful person. I kind of see that in myself on occasion. Laharl, he's a don't give a shit kind of character. I see that in myself as well on a regular occasion. Stalking, no, there's really not much purpose or much connection between me and her other than I think she's hot, and it was a joke about Firebird 467, and well, I just started using her as a as a primary avatar on occasion. Twilight Sparkle, as odd as this is, and people have actually compared and said it makes sense for you to use Twilight Sparkle. She's an educated person. You seem to be a very educated person. It makes sense for you to use Twilight Sparkle. Then there's Neil Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris, he's a very laid-back guy. If you've seen him in real life, if you've seen interviews of him, he's a laid-back guy. And when I make a video and I use Neil Patrick Harris, I'm having more of a laid-back attitude to it. So, even though I don't think avatars are that important, and it really doesn't matter what you pick, I myself pick them going by personality traits. I myself pick ones that I think fit my personality, that fit a certain aspect of me, that I can actually say, yeah, this represents me to an extent. It really does. And there were a couple that I didn't mention, but I'm not going to go through the whole list. I'm not going to go back and recover that. Now, as for videos that you want to commentate on, there's no truly set cutoff date for commentaries. I will give you my personal idea behind commentaries. I try not to go more than 3 months in the past. I really don't, because after 3 months, things get really fucking old, they're really outdated, most people don't give a shit anymore. I try not to go anything older than 3 months. Now, you could take this for however you want. Although, personal suggestion, I would definitely say don't ever pick anything more than 6 months old. Don't do that. That's just fucking stupid. It's going to make you look like an idiot to pick a video that is more than 6 months old. It's so out of date, no one really cares. People have probably forgotten about the video at this point. And you've seen videos where people have done commentaries on videos that are years old. And you know how shitty those are 90% of the time. We've heard it all before about the videos. They're just reiterating. Which could very well possibly bring me to the point of bandwagons. Bandwagons are a touchy subject within the commentary community. If you saw my video about bandwagons, you should know my opinion on it. They're not that big of a deal if you could bring something new to the table. If you could bring new information, or you can make your video on said bandwagon entertaining, then there's not an issue. But if you're just going to repeat and reiterate things that people have said before, just spewing out everything you've heard, then don't do the bandwagon. There's no purpose in it. But if you can bring something fresh, something new, go for it. Make that video if you want to. Now, commentating on children, that's another iffy subject. It's one of those, do you think that children should have the same mentality you do? Do you think they should be as mature as you are? Yes, children are a very easy target. I've done my own commentaries on children before, and you know what? They worked, mainly because the kid was an easy target. It's not hard to contest a child. It's really not. In all seriousness, at this point in my commentary community career, if you'll call it that, I've gotten past the whole doing commentaries on kids. I see it as a huge pointless item. I see it as unnecessary and just a waste of your time to do a commentary on a child. I really do. Now, as for commentating on trolls, and this will be the last point I bring up. I hope I covered everything that I need to cover in this video, but I do need to say something about commentating on trolls. And this is something you need to be able to do as a commentator. Be able to recognize a troll. And yes, I know that I've fallen for trolling. Hobbs has fallen for trolling. Everyone has fallen for trolling. M-Skull, Mystery Oven Thing, Realm Wars, all of these others. They've fallen for trolling in the past. We all have, we all will. But try to do your best at recognizing a troll. That way you don't make a commentary on a troll, because there's really no point making a commentary on a troll unless you have the ability to make it downright fucking hilarious. If you can make it downright fucking hilarious, go for it. But if you're seriously trying to prove the troll wrong, there's no point to it whatsoever. There really isn't. And making commentaries on trolls will make you look like an idiot if you do this, if you're truly trying to prove them wrong and prove why they're an idiot. Because you'll end up looking like the idiot, and they got you. They trolled your ass. And like I said, it's happened to me in the past. Now, before I end off, I guess I could go ahead and give a couple of names of different commentators that I think are good. That you could look at them and possibly emulate some of what they do. Now, I would never say completely and totally copy what any of these commentators do. That's happened in the past where people have literally just straight up plagiarized commentators. Don't do that. Now, some of the commentators that I think are good, that I think are worth watching, and if you want to take a couple of notes from, if you want to take after them and take some ideas from them. Now, remember, no plagiarizing, but to take ideas on how to do commentaries from them. You can go to mskull01, who, as a side note, and a shameless plug for Madison Skull, his channel was deleted because people are fucking idiots, and now he's on the channel called Eli Riffs, link in the description. He's a good commentator. Infamously Awesome 95 is a good commentator. Just in Time 91210 is becoming a better commentator. He is becoming better. Slowly but surely, he's becoming a better commentator. GWS Man, Mr. GWS Man. If you can go back and see his old commentaries, he's pretty good too. Mr. Firebird 467 is good at times. Alejandro, Mr. Alejandro, he hasn't really made that many, but he's still good. Of course, I've already mentioned people like Hobbs, which is Youngblood Fantasy 91. Then there's also Pikachu OZ, Realm Wars the 2nd or Realm Wars the 3rd. Ricky Ray 102, the Retsupre group, the people who pretty much invented commentaries. Retsupre, always definitely check them out. Smugleaf carries on. He's a good commentator in my opinion. There's a ton of them out there. If you want a good list, if you want a list of who I truly think are good commentators, you can pretty much go through my subscriptions. You can go through my subscriptions, look at who I'm subscribed to, see if they're a commentator, and they're probably a commentator I like, if I'm subscribed to them. So, this is the Professor. I hope I answered the questions, or the question that I've been asked for about a year and a half now, of what I think makes a good commentator. Hopefully I answered this question for the people who are wondering, and the people who, for whatever random fucking reason, actually want to know my opinion about commentaries, and how to be a good commentator, which to this day I still don't understand. But, this is the Professor. Once again, and as always, I bid every last one of you a fine adieu.